Let me start by reading you this, because this is as mad as I have ever seen Beneil Dariush. This is as mad as you're ever going to see Beneil Dariush. And I just want to read it to you in his words, man. I'm not going to lie, this is Benny speaking. I'm a little pissed at Charles. We should have done this fight in early March. I should be chilling right now, spending time with my baby. Dariush tells the schmo. But I have to do my practice. I have to do my recovery. I got to eat right. I got to lose weight. And then I get to spend a little time with the baby. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty pissed. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to be as ready as possible. Okay. Beneil Dariush, pissed at Charles Oliveira, plans to make the Brazilian pay for delaying their fight. Fine. Of course, the front part was to make you laugh. You just can't get Benny mad, right? You just can't get Dariush mad. But something's going on at 55. And it could be something very simple, right? You know how this goes. Whenever there's something, but it's not revealed to us, we then decide it's a conspiracy. I get it. That's a little bit of what this is. But nonetheless, something's going on at 155. I believe fully that I have brought resolution as far as it had to do with Dan Hooker, the nurse, the IV, the Australian governing body, and our two champions. But 155 is not done. I know that you believe that Charles and Benny is the number one contendership. I do too. Things make it look very obvious. I just have to remind you as the adult in the room, that's not been stated. You could go find headlines. You could go Google and it'll pop up and say, yeah, it's the number one contendership, but you won't find one where Dana said that. Matter of fact, you won't find one where Benny said it. Matter of fact, you won't find one where Charles said it. Matter of fact, you won't find one where Islam says, I'm waiting for this fight to see who my next opponent is. It's just us. We keep saying that. Now, I think we're going down the right road. I just share for you that when this hasn't been stated, this is when other things come up. Justin Gaethje is 100% in a position to steal that fight. 100%. If Fitzayev would have beaten Gaethje, Fitzayev either already would have the fight or he would also be waiting, and then we'd hold this Benny and Charles, and then we'd make some decisions. But it's very different. If Benny wins, we understand Benny's going to get it. We're going to make a push. We're going to make sure Benny gets it right. That's not completely accurate if Charles wins. So I'm just providing a scenario for you. If Fitzayev had won and Charles wins in a fight that never was named the number one contenders fight, all of a sudden, right, we start to find out why they were shining Fitzayev up so much in the first place. They were getting ready to give him a world title fight. Okay, no problem. What I'm suggesting for you is Gaethje could bring that to your attention. Gaethje's been doing media this week. He could have come out and said, this was the screwball of I get brought over to England to fight a Russian in a feature match. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, Gaethje was a 3-1 underdog. That's according to DraftKings. I can't put that on the UFC. He was a 3-1 underdog. People thought he was going to lose that fight. 3-1. This is silly. I told you guys before that, hey, I don't give you advice. 3-1. This is silly. But he could have brought that up. Could have said, this is what you're getting ready to do. You walked me out there. Everybody becomes a stepping stone at some point, but that was the night that you put me in that position to be a stepping stone. I'm now the number one contender. I'm here to claim what you were going to give him. It's a compelling argument. It's not going to hold up head-to-head with Benny, but we don't know that Benny is going to beat Charles. That's what I'm suggesting for you. If Charles comes in and wins, that's the only way that Fitzayev has a chance. Was going to have a chance, but Gaethje's now in that exact same spot. And Gaethje went out and did media. And if Gaethje was to make a push, there is no fighter In the absence of Nate Diaz, there is no fighter that is going to have wind at his sails because you all are going to put it there. Like Justin Gaethje. No one. There's no one that could make a claim or take a shot that will be backed up as strongly in our industry, absent of Nate, than Justin Gaethje. But he didn't do it. He went after Dustin Poirier, which is a bludgeoning of a lifetime, without a world title to be won. How come? How come? What does he know? What do the 55-pounders know? What agreements have been made at 155 that were supposed to be just between you and me, but then the manager finds out and it trickles over here, then this guy gets sworn to secrecy, and this guy gets double dog dared to keep this secret, and they do. They do keep it. But all of a sudden, what was supposed to be between two guys is now between more like 10 or 11 guys. What? Why is Gaethje not going after Islam? Because he touched on Islam. Gaethje did an interview, guys, to put this in perspective for you. Gaethje did an interview, and in the same interview, he said, I could knock out Islam. I need a perfect fight. I can knock him out, though. He said, I want to fight Dustin Poirier next. That's the fight. That's the one that makes sense. Okay? This is the same interview. Of that interview, there was media members. It's called the Dirt Sheets. It's the places I live. The places I like to hang out are known as the Dirt Sheets. They took that interview and they broke it into two different sections. So they ran a clip as though it was their interview. Dirt Sheets are great. But they come out and they took the clip of Justin saying he could knock out Islam, but they then took the clip of Justin Gaethje calling out Dustin Poirier. And they played them on separate, as though it was separately done. The one where he says he could knock out Islam, 4-1 is how bad it beat the other clip. 4 times the traffic. 4 times the amount of people clicked on the headline that involved Gaethje with Islam than they did the headline of Dustin versus Justin. So I think I have very successfully proven my point of what the audience wants to see. For sure, and you as the audience would of course agree with me, you'll back Gaethje wherever he goes. Because he doesn't do that very often. He doesn't call very many fights. That's why he ended up in there with Fadzayev. He doesn't call a whole lot of fights. So if he did, we would back him, but he didn't do it. He didn't call out Islam. He didn't call out Islam because he has some kind of information that tells him he can't get Islam. Is that as simple as Charles and Benny is a number 1 contender? Maybe, but that's not wonderful news, by the way. That's really not wonderful news because that you could end up with Charles back in there with Islam. Now what do? Right, there was nothing about that match that calls rematch. Nothing. There was no controversy. It wasn't competitive. There wasn't a good, solid excuse made afterward. There was nothing about that match that makes you want to see it again or think that you could have a different result. Nothing. This isn't just Chael's opinion. That's why they were shining Fadzayev on the outside chance that Charles win. We don't want to give it to Charles, but by God, we might have to when top guys like Gaethje aren't calling for the fight. Why did he not call for the fight? What does he know? What do they all know at 155? Islam's called for no fight. These guys aren't calling for him. We're going to make sure that it's Benny, but Benny's not going to make sure that it's Benny. Beneil Dariush, with the victory over Chael, is not going to demand. He is not going to insist. He's not going to do a hunger strike, believe me. We are going to do that for him, though. So we do know that with a win, Benny's going to go on. But we also know that if Charles with a win, there's nobody with a better argument, and we don't want to see that fight. There is no one that would have a better argument for why they should be, and we don't want to see the fight. The plan with Fadzayev backfired. So what do? And we could always turn to Gaethje because he would qualify, but he didn't turn to himself. He didn't ask for it. 55-pounders are sitting on a secret. They're sitting on information. I would like to know what it is. Wouldn't you?